Shiny chrome-plated automobiles are on the roads. Racing may thrill you, but these out-of-the-era finds will make you look back twice. Some retro, some downright classic, to some with the depth of the time gone by. These automobiles spoke to everyone passing by. The annual Vintage Automobile Exhibition was held right here in the city, and Bengalureans were awestruck with the magnificent foregone innovations. Take a look for yourself.
It is literally a drive down the memory lane with here an exquisite lineup of the vintage cars at the 7th Southern India Vintage Car Exhibition. Here are some of the rare vintage finds which had ushered in an era of engineering wonders. So let us take a look at some of these wonderful cars.
Automobiles with age-old stories. These exquisite automobiles were lined up at Jai Mahal Palace today for Bengalureans to revisit the long-gone eras. Autophiles from the state and other neighbouring states as well poured in to witness the 7th annual Vintage Automobile Exhibition. Cars, bikes, scooters and even bicycles from the age of our forefathers were put on display to marvel at the engineering wonders of the time.
You see, these vehicles are given the prizes or they are, chosen on their originality, how they have been restored, not overdone, and, it should be of that area, that year, what was manufactured, it should meet that requirement. No remodeling it, no any other type of modification.
These automobiles, which would have otherwise been grazed as metal junk, were brought back to life with great care by these autophiles.
We have with us a car enthusiast who's going to tell us more about this vintage Jeep right here. It's an 11-year-old that we have right with us. Can you tell us more about when this Jeep was manufactured and how it was used at that time?
It started in 1939 when the World War II started. The US Army needed a better vehicle for their transportation purpose. They put a competition among the car companies. So Bantam was the first to make a prototype and present it to them. Later Willys also created their MA quad models. Later this Jeep came as Willys MB. Later they started the development of CJ, civilian Jeeps. The first one was CJ2A.
And how do you know so much about these vintage cars? Do you love them?
Of course. This interest actually came from my father. My father taught me all about this and I gathered information from the books as well.
So that was a 11-year-old car enthusiast with us who just taught us that this Jeep did take part in World War. Now that is amazing to know. This is really old, much older than any of us over here.
Let us take a look at the automobiles from the 1900s and older, which are still shining in 2019, centuries later.
At the 7th Southern Vintage Automobile Exhibition, there are not just cars but also vintage cycles which are lined up over here. This is a 1886 bicycle, Warwick bicycle, which was used at that time for postal purposes to send out couriers. And there are also several other bicycles which are lined up like this one. This is called the gentleman's bicycle right here, and it runs on oil. It's a Sunbeam 1914 bicycle which also has a number plate right there. That is the number plate and a license plate which has been given to a cycle also. And there's one more bicycle right here which is the 1942 BSA Paratrooper. Yes, Paratrooper right there, which can be folded. This cycle can be folded and on the other side we also have several vintage bikes, and there that is the Yamaha Rajdoot from the 1984. These are the 80s bikes which are lined up, and also we have on the other side the 50s and 60s. This would usually be used by our parents in those times back then, and this does bring up several of those memories and everything, and does give a feeling of the 90s film as well. Now we are on the side which has been most awaited, the cars, so the vintage cars being on the display right here. Now some of these cars date back to the 1930s when your great grandfather were probably alive, and you can take a look at how that world used to look. There we have the Morris model of a vehicle, a four-wheeler right there, which you would find in movies flying on the roads of England probably. And there we have the Avant model of a car right there, which can be replicated from the scenes of probably Sherlock Holmes. And there we have the 1946 MGTC also being on the display, a convertible, and we have the on the other side 1946 Rover model right there, and on the other side we have the 70s and 80s models of Mercedes-Benz, even Ambassador, the Indian manufactured Ambassadors right there, something that you would imagine Amitabh Bachchan driving on the roads of Bombay in the 70s and 80s film.
It was a great weekend for Bengalureans as they revelled in the festival of vintage automobiles. It was a paradise for like-minded people from across the state as well as from Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Goa and Maharashtra to get together and share their journeys in the age-defining autos. This is how the proud owners of their vintage cars express their feelings about their beloved autos and the event.
This is 1934 Studebaker. This is there with us from last 5 years, but it was not in this condition. So we just from last 1.5 years, it's taken to restore the vehicle like this.
This is a 1955 Dodge Carnet. This is a very rare vehicle. It is a left-hand drive and it's American made. We had a ride from Ahmedabad to Jaipur. It was a nice ride. It was a 10 days ride. We had a lot of experience.
So we all meet, it's like a reunion, we bring all the cars, public, all those people come, they see, they feel very happy.
Well, their feelings are palpable. The amount of effort put into these rare vintage finds is laudable. Most of the automobiles here weren't the way they looked when they were found. They are only pliable on the roads now due to the restoration process, which has also retained its originality. For this, the exhibition has recognized the efforts.
This Jeep dates back to the World War II era, and it used to bring materials to the army during that time of the period, and it still plies on the road in pristine condition. Now this is definitely going to make several heads turn when it is on the road. There were several such automobiles right here at the 7th Southern Automobile Vintage Exhibition, where bikes, bicycles, all from a foregone era were on display. It does tell the story of the era that has gone by, which has been long forgotten, but it also tells us that the engineering wonders of that time should not be forgotten, while we take the advantage of the wonders of engineering in automobile of this time. With camera person Wali, this is Amrita for News 9 Bengaluru.